It's time for 41 is the Mic, a weekly Chiefs podcast with Nick Jacobs of KSHB 41 and Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. 41 is the Mic starts now.
Welcome to another one of our draft profiles here on KSHB 41 is the Mic. I'm Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest and alongside Nick Jacobs from KSHB 41. And today we're lucky enough to have defensive lineman Ty Robinson from Nebraska, who is someone that I think Chiefs fans need to keep an eye on because he absolutely fits the model of a Chiefs defensive lineman and what Steve Spagnuolo and Joe Cullen are looking for. Ty, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on. I also appreciate it.
Yeah, let's start a little bit about your experience at the Combine. That's kind of the big moment for everybody, and you had a good Combine. Okay, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, it was awesome. The whole week, went fast and slow at the same time just because of how much, I kind of had to wait around for the first few days with all the medical stuff. But, I think being the first group it allowed us not to have any, backup or anything like that. So, the first day I was in and out 3 hours for all my stuff. Then the next day, the second group of guys came. So we really kind of had the most of the day off. And then Wednesday was meeting with all the team doctors and stuff like that. And then Thursday, that's the day, right? Everyone was looking forward to. I know the group that we were in, we were all excited to get out there and showcase our skills to the world and to the NFL as well. So just another opportunity to compete and, get a chance to kind of prove and show why, teams need to look at you.
Yeah, for you at the Combine, what's going to stick out most from a memory perspective that you're going to kind of remember down the road here that hey, yeah, that was the Indy Combine?
I think obviously Thursday with the on-field stuff, that was just – 5 hours flew by and felt like an hour, right? Everyone was just so amped up to be out there. I think it was really awesome just to see a bunch of guys, wanting to see other dudes do great, and it was really no hard feelings towards anybody or anything like that. It's just a bunch of guys that really wanted to go out there and just put in some work.
You also had an invite to the Senior Bowl as well. What kind of experience was that like?
Yeah, again, that was awesome. Just another chance to play football. It's a little different from the skill positions or quarterbacks because they get to go, they can do whatever they need to do whenever. But when you don't hit anybody for about a month or a little over a month, or for some of those guys it's been 2 months, you got to knock some rust off a little bit. So my mentality going into it is as long as I get better each and every day, then that's a win in my book. Take advantage of all the coaches there. Pick their brain, ask questions, whether it's a dumb question or a good question, I just wanted to make sure that I was going to get the most out of that experience.
Yeah, Ty, when I was watching your coaches film, the first thing that just stuck out to me was the effort level. And so much of what you did kind of reminds me of just watching Max Crosby over and over again going up against the Chiefs and everything. Where does that passion and that desire in your play come from?
Well, really, that's kind of been instilled in me ever since I started playing football. Just the importance of making sure that you're around the ball. Because first and foremost, obviously the film's going to be right there. So if they see you every play, that's better than the ball running all the way down the field and they don't get to see you, right? But just also I think just the emphasis, especially in college, that us as a defense put on it, making sure to have all 11 guys to the ball. If you go back and watch everybody on our film, you'll see close to 11 guys almost every single play around the ball or in on the tackle as well. And I think it's just, it just comes from the DNA of the Husker defense. That's just kind of always been a part of us since I've been here.
Nick talked about your film, and and one of the other things that stands out to me about it is just how versatile you are as far as just lining up across the front. Is there, how do you feel like that benefited you as far as lining up in multiple positions? And is there's a one technique that you prefer the most?
Yeah, that started in high school. My junior year, I was really a 5 technique, and then my senior year, gained a little weight, and we needed interior guys, so they pushed me to the interior, and then for the first half of my college career, I was just interior just because of the way our defense was schemed up. But being able to, again, showcase that versatility just kind of gives me, I think, an advantage on everybody else just because I'm not just condensed to, just the inside. and I'm willing to go out on the outside, and whether it's out of my comfort zone or not, like I'll figure out a way to get the job done, whatever you need. And I just feel like being able to play the whole line, I mean, gives you more opportunity to stay on the field, or even get a chance to get on the field as it is. So yeah, no, I'm really grateful for the defense that we had. Coach White had a really kind of unique way of his defense, especially since like our base defense was that 3-3-5. But if you go and look, like we hardly ever ran the true 3-3-5. Like we always had our outside linebacker push up to make a 4-man front, really, because I think once they understood that with me and Nash on the inside, like we'll be able to stuff up the middle, just us two, and allow everyone else to go make some plays.
Now, for you, whenever you do get the opportunity to pass rush, kind of what are your favorite moves to do, and what kind of challenges do you enjoy with rushing the passer?
I mean, the thing I love about defensive line the most, just like the aggression, the dominant aspect of it. Like that's really where that mentality comes from. Is like I don't care if I go make the play, but like if I dominate the dude in front of me, like that towards the end of the game, like it's almost like a respect thing, right? So, as I break it, throughout the week of what kind of offensive lineman I'm going against for the pass, like breaking them down, what moves might work the best, how athletic are they? Are they able, are they more of an athletic guy that can stick with me if I try to, go side to side, or are they light and I'm able to like run through them, or do I need to kind of, beat them with speed? And then when I get out there, when you start to kind of get the feel for those types of things, and, sometimes not every game is the same. So you kind of go on the fly to figure out also what works.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background, Ty? Because I know you were born in Arizona. I know you finished high school in Nebraska. What was kind of your journey, not only as a youth, but even your football journey too, about when you started playing and what kind of got you involved in the game?
Yeah, so I'm kind of a little country boy out there in Arizona, out in the desert. Grew up on 5 acres of land, so we were a big horse family. My mom, she's a horse veterinarian, and then my dad, he was a horse farrier. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2013, but always been around horses my whole life. We had cows, goats, all that type of stuff. And I was always kind of a bigger kid too. So, sports was it was fun for me thankfully I was naturally gifted to be able to be good when I was young. And then my stepdad, who I have my stepdad now, when I was around 10, he kind of like introduced the idea of taking football more serious. And he was like, we run this little camp, throughout the summer. If we'd love to have you come out and work out with us. He's been around, kind of the professional level, and then his partner as well, who's also kind of a big role model in my life. He's currently working in the NFL too. So to have that kind of experience around me was, I think, really beneficial to me. But yeah, being 10 at the time, I was like, I didn't know any better. I was like, sure, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But I kind of just like laid out like the foundation. I mean, because they coached me hard, but they led me up too. And I think just, the work ethic and the dedication and just kind of the discipline that I learned going through that camp, those training sessions, just because to me now, like they were a piece of cake. But back then as a 10-year-old going through those same things, it was hard as a 10-year-old, so, but just like, I don't know, quitting was never an option really, like when things got hard. And so I guess that's kind of where you see that, where you talked about that effort level, like quitting is just not in me. So, I just kind of carried those throughout high school. And then thankfully, junior year, I was able to get most of my scholarship offers there to go to college. And then, I just fell in love with Nebraska, man. Like just the coaches, the history of Nebraska. I fell in love with Lincoln. I found myself comparing these other schools to Lincoln, and just at the end of it, when Coach Frost brought all 11 coaches down to come see me on my last home visit, like that just kind of sealed the deal of, okay, these guys, I'm more than just like a number or a player to them. Like they're committed to me. Like if you're willing to shut down your whole recruiting process 1 week before early signing day to come see one dude in Arizona, then I must mean a certain, a lot to them. So that to me showed that, how committed they were to me. And so I was going to give the same commitment back.
Yeah. I mean, obviously sorry for your loss with your dad on that front, man. That's a bump here on that front. Yeah, I'm curious for you, like who outside of your stepdad and some of the family members, who from a football coach perspective has really had a big impact on your play and who you are as a player now?
I mean, I think all of them have. I mean, from high school, like just helped me learn more of the game as it was. Because I mean, even in high school, like I was just going out there to have fun and play the game. Like it's so much raw ability, right? Like then once I got to college, like each coach offered me something different. Like I've had 3 defensive line coaches, had 2 head coaches, 2 different strength coaches. Like each one has been unique in their own ways. So, Coach Tuioti, he was super laid back, but super, tough, tough love as well. From the defensive line, Coach Duval. I mean, we used to go in there and just get after it in those during the weights, and then I have Coach Dawson, who's kind of more on the harder end, like, but you knew it came from a place of love and passion because he just wanted to see you succeed. And what was awesome is you're just able to go and talk to those guys at any point during the day or about anything. Like it didn't even have to be football related. So I think it's just like the development of not only being, like I said, that football player, but also becoming a man as well as we're all growing up. And then Coach Knighton and Coach Campbell, just these last 2 years being able to really focus on football. I took advantage. I tried to get everything I could out of those guys.
Did you have a favorite NFL team growing up? And are there some players that you watch that you try to emulate, that you feel like that you compare to?
Yeah, being from Arizona, I was definitely an Arizona Cardinals fan. And then my dad, he was from Colorado, so we were also Broncos fans. And it's been awesome to grow up and be fans of those guys. And then for the players, like there's 2 really. I mean, I loved watching J.J. Watt growing up. I mean, and especially now understanding the game, getting to watch his film, like just his relentless motor of always trying to get to the ball. Because I mean, when you're the good guy on the field, like you're gonna get double teamed, you're gonna get chipped, you're gonna get this and that. So just like see how he kind of thinks about how he defeats these types of blocks or these obstacles that they're throwing at him. And then from more of like a violent, like kind of just bully mentalities. I mean, I loved watching Chris Jones. Like Chris Jones just goes out there and just does his thing. He doesn't care who's put in front of him, but that dude's gonna be relentless and violent with everything that he does. So those 2 players I just try to like kind of mold together because I feel like I kind of have the best of both worlds with them.
I'm curious, for a down and distance, is there a certain down and distance you kind of get really, really amped up or excited for, whether it's a short yardage situation or a long 3rd and 10? What for you is kind of one that you always kind of look forward to that type of challenge?
I love 4th and 1. I mean, there is no better feeling. I mean, we had a pretty stout defensive unit as well. So, I mean, we've had a lot of 4th and 1 shutouts, and it's just kind of like a test to, I take that as a test to my manhood, right? Like test to like who I am as a person. Because just because, you're 1 yard away and you're supposed to get this first down doesn't mean it's going to be that easy. So being able to go and hold the line and stuff a guy or stuff a run on 4th and 1 is it's a pretty awesome feeling. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that, and hey, you had some big numbers your senior year, your final year. I think you had 12 tackles for a loss, 7 sacks, but you guys were also, it was one of the best run defenses that the Huskers have had in a while. Which one of those aspects do you take the most pride in?
I think, in the beginning of the season, God, I opened my mouth, I guess, too early, but, before we got up to Indiana, we had not allowed a single rushing touchdown against us. And to us, like that was our pride right there, just because it just showed like the grittiness and the toughness of how hard it is to play against our defense. And then, it just kind of continued throughout the year, like going out there with a group of guys that understood, what their job was and what kind of mentality we brought to the field. Because I definitely felt like, offenses were going to have to, be on their A game when they played us.
Now for you, Nebraska's got the historic tradition it does. And in some ways, Nebraska and the Kansas City Chiefs are kind of a lot alike in the loyalty, their fan bases and everything. But for you, what did it mean to you the past your time there to be able to be a Nebraska Cornhusker and to play in that town?
I'm proud. Like I'm super proud. I've I had the opportunity to transfer or whatever. When things looked rough, but like I committed to the place. I didn't commit to coaches. I committed to a university, and so I the job and the goal when I first got here was to rebuild, to bring Nebraska back to where it should be, or to help it get on the right track. And it took 6 years, but I feel like we finally got that one kind of stepping stone accomplished with going to a bowl game this last year. I mean, the fans here and the people of Nebraska are just amazing. Like, I mean, I can go out in public and, they're just Nebraska nice. That's a real thing. Like, they're super friendly. They made me honestly like a better person as well. Just, you kind of just feel it in the air, like how friendly and loving this like community is. And it's not only here in Lincoln, but it spreads all throughout Nebraska. There's not a thing I wouldn't do for a Nebraska Husker.
Man, that's my last question for you. I want to square this, that Nebraska nice and this gentle giant personality that you have. I know you're on the Brooks Behringer and Tom Osborne citizen tip teams, but then your teammates also voted to give you that number 9, which is usually for the toughest, nastiest dude on the team. So where does that switch? Where's that switch for you that, once you get on the football field, that you're a different dude?
Yeah, it's just something I've always had, but I've kind of had to learn how to amplify it a little bit more and kind of control it. In my earlier years, I was definitely more of a hothead out there, during practice. But it's just passion. Like, it's just love for the game. Like, it's just how badly I want to be great at this game and like how badly I want to win. And so like I'm willing to do the things that people might feel uncomfortable doing. That's accountability. Like, nobody wants to be the guy that holds people accountable and then everyone thinks he's a freaking jerk. But at the end of the day, like, I don't care. As long as I get the best out of you and we start winning, then who cares what is what. And it's kind of funny because like I talk to my like young guys here now who are kind of taking over the room, and they didn't really kind of realize how much heat me, Nash, and Jamari took as the older guys of the room when the young guys would mess up or people would be missing stuff or whatever. I'm like, yeah, like it's going to be you now. Like, you're the old guy in the room. You got to be able to handle all that and then kind of get your boys in line. So, the standard is the standard type of deal. And I'm like, now you understand why I didn't care if anybody liked me, because at the end of the day, I was tired of getting yelled at. I was tired of getting told these things. Like, I just wanted it to be focused on football. And so I think that's just a great lesson to be learned of, once you kind of get out of that kind of comfort zone and, you're willing to do what's best for the team and sacrifice whatever for the team, even if that means you're not the most liked guy on the team, but you go to the Big Ten championship this year, or you go to the college football playoffs, like at the end, like that's worth it to me. Like, I don't care if you voted me as the worst teammate, as long as we freaking win. That's what matters most.
I'll have a couple more for you and we'll get you out of here. If somebody's looking at one of your games, is there a specific player, specific game you'd be like, hey, go check that one out, because that's kind of the one that describes me?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty from this past season. I mean, Colorado is a pass rush game. Iowa, if you want to see me play that 5 technique, I played 5 technique basically the whole game in Iowa. And then Ohio State and Wisconsin, I feel like were some of my more dominant games. Just feel like all those games kind of hit on the head of what type of player you're going to get. The film don't lie, right? So you can make your own judgment based off that.
Yeah. And my last question for you, whenever you get the opportunity to see your name on TV and get that phone call from whatever NFL team it's going to be, what is that moment going to mean to you?
I definitely might shed a tear. But I think just, how proud, first, like, just like my dad, like I've done a lot of this for him just because I know what type of man he'd want me to be and what type of, player he'd want me to be. So he's always kind of in the back of my mind, pushing me. I can feel it. Then, just all the hard work, all the sacrifices made, like, to get to this point, to be different from everybody around you and to actually, reach something that seems unreachable, less than 1% of the world gets to be a part of. I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of emotions going through me at once. So I'm excited and nervous at the same time.
I completely understand that, but Ty, you sound prepared for the next level. So,
well, thank you.
I think you're definitely ready. Hey, we appreciate you taking time out of your, a busy schedule and getting ready for the draft and getting ready for your pro day next week. Really appreciate the time and great talking to you, Ty.
Yeah, no problem. It was nice to meet you guys. And again, I really appreciate you guys having me on.
You've been listening to 41 is the Mic, Presented by KSHB 41, your home of the Chiefs and Chiefs Digest.